Jimmy with the Triple C Collective, and
Collin here.
we are ready to bring you guys a new episode of Off the Spinner Rack. And today we are diving into one of our favorite fandoms, our heroes in the half shell, Turtle Power. We're diving into the Last Ronin today, people. We're doing our first TMNT comic off the Spinner Rack here. Very excited about this. So we're going to dive in with first a little bit of history about the Turtles. They were created in 1984 from Peter Laird, Kevin Eastman, over their love of Jack Kirby art.
A little before us, a little before our time.
Yeah, only 4 years. Only 4 years. So,
well,
you know.
Yeah, 5 for me, but it's I guess the movies were my first.
Absolutely. There's no denying that 1990 movie, 91 Secret of the Ooze, and 93.
Which is a bad representation of the 84 work we're talking about.
Well, and that's so funny because they, like, Peter Laird and Kevin Eastman were like, make the movies, make the cartoons, but we're not changing the comics. Like, the Mirage comics will always be the Mirage comics, no matter what. And that's one of the cool things about Last Ronin, because this idea of it was created back in the 80s when they first made Turtles, like, out on the East Coast. Like, in the aftermath of, like, Watchmen and The Dark Knight and stuff, one of their other influences was Frank Miller and Daredevil and stuff, which you got Splinter, you have Stick and Daredevil, you've got all that fun stuff. So this was an original idea back from like the 80s. They obviously shelved it because they wanted to have their Turtles to have a little bit longer legs in life. But then, Laird sold TMNT, and then Eastman came back to start running the comic side of it when they made their deal with like IDW. And at some point in like 2011, they bring back Turtles. Getting to issue 100, Eastman, Tom Waltz, and his team over there were like, maybe we should dust this old boy off and figure out how to end our Turtle run. And that was the original idea of like where Last Ronin came from.
Right.
And,
so basically, it was an idea they had when they first started the comics, and it sat around on the shelf for 30 plus years, and then they decided to take it on the road and go that one last time for one last story with the Turtles we know. But with that story, there's only one turtle left.
Yeah.
They decide, it's basically an apocalyptic story that they're telling. It's the end of the road type story.
Yeah, it's like the last hurrah kind of thing. And again, if you've read, Dark Knight Returns, you have an idea of this story, but at the same time, you really don't.
Yeah, I mean, the Ronin story is very, very, especially the Last Ronin, the Last Samurai type. It's not it's a well trodden path, but it is interesting to see the Turtles in this light because they're, again, it's taken back to their roots of the kind of gritty, bloody Turtles that they made in the 80s that kind of got whitewashed and turned into something for kids. And, I appreciate it because I got into them. I don't know if, it would have had the staying power otherwise. So thank God it got some actual popularity. But yeah, it's a good idea, and I'm glad that they got back around to it.
Me too. I remember, like, it was crazy because they were releasing this in, like, the peak of, like, the pandemic of, like, in the fall of, like, 2020 and stuff. So, like, trying to get these things were, like, really difficult at first. Luckily, they were kind and did a bunch of, like, second printings and whatnot. And then supplemental, or, like, the next issues were, like, pressed a little bit, or printed a little bit higher volume, I believe.
Yeah, it's rare nowadays where comics sell out like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, because I remember, like, it was crazy. After, like, week 1 or 2 of, like, that first issue being out, like, number one was, like, $50, like, anywhere. And it was wild if you didn't get it right away. Like, I think I didn't get it right away, and I think I still got lucky and only paid, like, $12 for it. Maybe 20. But, like, it was crazy. It got so high up there. But with all that, let's dive into this. Or do you have anything else about your turtle love, turtle fandom, or any precursors to Last Ronin here you want to add?
No, let's get right into it. I mean, we'll talk about that, I think, a little later after this, because I think we should get into the story first before we talk about anything else. Because this is a good story to get into why the turtles are still relevant in my life.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, we got issue 1 here. Wish for Death.
Wish for Death. What a story, man. You know, Eastman, Peter Laird, Tom Waltz. Waltz and Eastman end up doing the final scripting and whatnot for it. You get inks and like you get a whole new artist team just for this, like Ben Bishop, Isu and Isaac Acorza. You get Luis Antonio Delgado, and Mr. Delgado and Ben Bishop do all of the box artwork for the TMNT Last Ronin turtle line, like the toys from NECA and stuff. So they do all of that. If you collect any of those toys, we'll probably pop up a few pictures of what we've got here just to show you. No spoilers. Got them in the back over there. But it's all beautiful stuff. I love it all. This first issue was a doozy.
Yeah, because you start off right away like, what's going on? We know there's only one turtle left, but we get right into it.
Yeah.
One of the turtles is, talking to the other turtles. Getting ready to go into New York City, which again is like this post-apocalyptic wasteland, which is
it's got this
kind of turned into like a castle, like with the moat around it. It's like it's just built off. A wall's built around the city now, and it's to keep mutants out, and more importantly, I think the people in, which is something they get into. But yeah, you're not sure which turtle survives here. You're just kind of led right into the muck, literally.
Yeah. One thing I did notice though, you do get like this idea at the beginning here, like that there's like he's hearing his brothers, they're kind of ghost spectrals almost, but you don't see anyone for Splinter. Like they don't go back to like what you get almost in the 90s movie of the spirit of Splinter when they're like all around the bonfire meditating, and Splinter shows up and whatnot and tells them like how to help or whatever. Great stuff in that 90s movie, but you don't see any of that here, which is just something that I always found like odd at first, because then eventually like it makes sense. I feel like kind of like where the story goes with like Splinter and whatnot, and like everything that happens with him.
Like it's been a long time, decade making, with one surviving turtle unknown to all these other surviving characters that we have in this world, and ready to come back and reclaim the city. Basically, he wants to take down the new boss, which has a fun connection.
Yeah, right. He needs to kill Oroku, and Shredder's got kids, and they run the city. So yeah, that's actually spoilers if you didn't know.
They run the city, and he's surviving turtles trying to get in there, and it's fun trying to figure it out because there are little clues.
Yeah, it like upon the reread, you get a few more. Like you definitely pick up on things. It's like, oh yeah, this makes sense of why this is this and why that's that, and like so. There's some good things like that upon rereads, and that also is what makes a great story too. Is that like the rereadability of either the single issues or the whole collected like trade or trade paperback, whatever you got.
But yeah, there's a couple clues to look out for. But so we have a moment here where he goes through the sewers. The Last Ronin's going through the sewers, and he's got this black cape. He's got black outfit on, and he's got size like Raphael. He's got Donatello's swords. Yeah, exactly. Or
Leo's
bow staff.
katana.
Sorry, he's got Leo's swords. Donnie's bow staff.
He's got like the almost like the
like police batons.
The police baton kind of thing. But it's not that because it's like a square.
Yeah,
it's not really.
It's like two nunchucks that you hold.
Yeah. That you hold separately. Yeah, that's actually a really great thing.
So it's literally like cops hold, but he's holding it this way. So he's got pretty much everyone's gear on, running through the muck, makes it through the city, starts realizing like, ooh, there's not a lot of mutants around. I'm gonna stick out like a sore thumb.
Yeah.
I should probably get some wheels.
And whose wheels does he get? A bike that belongs to a Jones. Really makes us think of Mr. Casey, because again, here at this point, the only people we know from previous Turtle stuff really is Roku, the name, a turtle, unnamed but still familiar being a turtle, and obviously now this name of Jones. Casey Jones is one of the most memorable characters of turtle lore.
Yeah, so this girl's in the midst of like a biker gang. And they're hanging out, and the Last Ronin takes one of their bikes, and whose bike he takes is last name Jones. And yeah, again, like you said, it reminds us of Casey, who we don't know who survived it. Yeah. Trying to just put pieces together as we're reading. Yeah, he goes through. He takes it, and she's like, "What the hell was that? What's going on here?"
Yeah.
So the crew kind of. While he's on his mission, he's got them chasing him. It becomes this whole thing.
And so and he's saying, the turtle is saying that like, I've gotta go in quiet, can't make a lot of noise. Well, now he's making a lot of noise with the bike and the Jones gang on him and trying to get to Oroku Tower. Dude, the MF blows up a fuel tanker. Blows up a gas
It's a totally 90s action flick here.
It totally is, and it's so great. I'm here for every little bit of it. And then we also get the intro to the Sinjas.
Which is basically a cybernetic police force that uphold whatever law
upholds the laws.
Yeah, whatever law is going on here. And they're kind of a take on the new Foot Clan. Basically, they're kind of they even look like that. But yeah, we'll get into them. That basically the Last Ronin's got to cut through, and he does.
Right. And he does cut through and gets through to the tower into a hangar. Then we get like the new level or the next evolution, however you want to call it, Sinjas of like the white ones, because before the other ones were like that gray kind of purple metal, very reminiscent of like the cartoon kind of like Foot Ninjas and stuff like that. But these ones were like the white ones.
Yeah, he's definitely special.
We also get introduced to flying Mausers that kind of look like dogs, basically. At this point,
they're a little vicious.
Yeah, right.
So you get basically the Navy SEALs of the Sinjas and the Mausers coming at him now, and he's basically going level to level of it's like kick-assery. Yeah, he's just got to show off all the getting to the top, trying to get to the boss. He it seems like, wow, we're really going right for it, huh?
Right. I mean, all of the action in these panels were actually really great. Like, all of the fighting, the blowing up of stuff, like the fuel tanker, we laugh at it because he's trying to be quiet, but he goes loud then. But then, and like he starts, all of the fights are great. And there's a lot of also throwing out of windows too, and like falling. Which is like one of the last things that happen here in this first issue is like as he's fighting those Mausers, trying to get it to Oroku, doesn't quite get to Oroku. He gets thrown out the window.
Yeah, as kick ass as he's doing, he finally gets taken better of. And throughout all this damage, through the time he's getting hit, so it's not just the falling out the window. He's been hit, and although he's a mutant, damage done when you fall out a window.
Yeah, dude, he's hurting. He's coughing up blood and stuff. He is hurt bad. He gets underground. Jones follows him.
Yeah, he thinks he's alone, kind of just coughing, limping away.
Yeah.
Blood dripping out his face, and he's being followed by the little Jones girl, the bike he stole, and rightfully so. So this is a cool moment that I think most people, whether they like the comics or not, will like this part of it. It's just a very interesting motif, if you will, where he lays out each of their weapons with the masks for each four of the brothers, and he's basically about to end it.
He's prepared to commit seppuku.
Yep. Which is just an act of ending your life in order to give regard to what you're to samurai. It's a samurai culture.
Yeah, it's a samurai code, ninja code kind of thing, and
if you lose in a battle, you think you're gonna die. Anyway, so he basically is about to do that, and he can't do it. He's not only are his brothers kind of voices in his head getting to him. The Jones girl sees him. Yeah, it's kind of they're clearly luckily he's not going to go through with it.
Yeah, he doesn't, and then we get this awesome flashback of like Michelangelo recovering in a bed, and out of nowhere we kind of hear this like call from like April, and then we cut back to now, and who do we see there? The one and only April O'Neil.
Yeah.
Little battle damaged, and who is the surviving turtle?
Michelangelo,
the first turtle. And so, like, for me, Michelangelo being my favorite turtle, like, I loved it. I love seeing that in the first episode, in the first issue. It was like the one thing upon reading it afterwards, we can tell this little Easter egg about it for like this is that the internal dialogue is orange with black writing. Like that was like it like at first totally missed me the first time I watched it or the first time I read it.
Yeah, and there's no real other than a few other little hints, like even like not having the actual nunchucks was kind of like he kind of gave up. I think because it's more childlike, and everything childlike about Mikey is gone.
Yep.
Which is sad. Which is why you almost don't expect him to be the last Ronin. You can almost see every other one becoming this gruff, almost Batman-like kind of asshole that's just kind of for better or worse, galvanized after his brothers were killed and some of his friends. So yeah, it's nice to see this little reunion here between Mikey and April, the two orange redheads, basically.
Right.
But it's also kind of sad because,
because it's sad
then go down this road again.
Because then that these next few issues are going to be about the life and deaths of a bunch of our other favorite characters now.
We just basically got to figure out what happened. We're just basically sitting there.
Right. We get the same team coming back for creative
Issue
story, 2. Layouts, pencils, everything like that. Excuse me.
Yeah, issue 2 is the same. Yeah, it's the same team, which is nice. Nice continuity especially for the first 1 and 2. Especially it's nice to set a pace, and they're really setting the pace with these first 2. Which issue 2, First to Fall.
Yeah, issue 2, First to Fall. This issue was like heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Awesome. It starts out like we get now that April has entered the game. Here we wake up with a flashback to, or we start this issue with a flashback of like April and now, and it's kind of like cutting in between panels and stuff or pages like that of like her in bed thinking about an engagement or the engagement to Casey, like why the turtles are late. People are then come crashing through. Splinter's on his deathbed here, and Raph is seeing red.
Which is pretty normal for him because he's got a red.
Yeah.
No, but he's normally an ass too, but he's definitely in rage mode like you've never seen him before. But yeah, it's definitely the beginning of the end here we're seeing.
Yeah, and then like the cut to the now that we see a metal leg and arm beside the table of April. She's been through it, man. Yeah. You know,
which also hints at some other things, that the fact that there's this technology that they're able to use to take over their limbs.
Yeah.
Yeah. She calls for someone here too, and it's an interesting moment because she calls for Casey.
Yeah.
So you're kind of like, wait, what?
Wait, what? And I also love.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Mikey's kind of
is fighting with his Ghost Brothers, but in particular at this point, really arguing with Raph. And I just love that. I love Mikey totally I love Mikey fighting with his family like that.
Well, because at this moment it's like, who would you fight with the most? The one that's most like you, and he's definitely being Raph. Like, Mikey's got. So Raph, if anyone's gonna understand, it's him. It's like, dude, I get what you're going through right now.
I understand.
But you can't. You need any team you could find right now.
Right. The one thing that we didn't say in the flashback is that Raphael goes missing in that flashback before we see like truly April like missing the arm and leg and all of that, and her calling for Casey. We get another flashback. They find the Foot hideout, or Raph does, and of course he's an idiot and he goes after the entire clan himself.
Right. Which again is why he needed to chill out in the first place. But desperate times call for desperate measures, and it clearly is a lot going on right now. And
absolutely.
With Splinter on his way out, Raph's just not holding it together. And yeah, he goes to the hideout and kind of just takes on a bunch of clan members, way too many for his own good, and tries fighting, the leader.
Yeah. He entices Karai to fight, the daughter, bastard daughter of Shredder.
It's almost like he's got different clans with his kids.
Yeah. And so like it's so funny, or not funny, but it's so interesting, the story of Karai, because depending on like literally who's writing the story, sometimes she's aligned with the Turtles and is like a decent ally to them.
Right.
And then there's other times like this where she's like completely on the other side of the fence, like their opposite enemy, like running.
She's got her own motives.
Yeah, exactly. And so all of this is awesome. But this fight between these two is crazy.
Yeah.
And
blow for blow, they're killing each other here.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a devastating ending for both of them, because they just both can't let the rage go enough, and they both go down together.
Yeah, they go down in their watery graves together, and it's crazy.
So Raph's the first to fall.
Exactly, Raph is the first to fall here, and we get Karai gets pulled out. Now, one thing we didn't mention before in issue 1 is that you do see Karai up in a Roku tower with her son. She's in a Nora Frost like tube in it, Like, because she gets pulled out of the water here as we see, and
Put into like
and she's in like
stasis.
stasis state kind of thing to just kind of keep her alive until they can find some sort of cure or something for her, basically. And then so we see the fall of Raph and Karai. But then now we get some good stuff between Mikey and Casey.
Yeah, we get some answers finally who Casey is.
Yeah.
Casey is actually Casey Marie Jones, which is April and Casey Jones's daughter.
Yep.
Who was the one following him, Mikey home and all that. And yeah, so that's how he got there in the first place, right? So yeah, so it's an interesting like new dilemma here where Mikey's kind of the adult in the situation compared to this kid who's like kind of just like, come on, let's go, let's do this, let's go.
I can do it. Let's go.
Yeah.
And of course, Mikey's refusing the entire time.
Right.
But Casey's like, I got my own crew, so I don't know what the hell you're talking about. You know,
like you've seen me out there, like I'm.
Yeah. Like I'm not like I may not be ninja trained. Like, right? She's showing some respect. She's like, I'm not a ninja trained, but I can hold my own.
You're the one who got your ass beat.
Like, I did help you. You know, I did pull you out of there.
He was about to die, man.
Right. And
yeah, so he's having none of training her, and she's kind of like a puppy dog, and
yeah, she wants none of it, and she's like, fine, me and my crew will just do it, and it's just kind of gone. Mikey does kind of explain some of his time away, like where he went after they kind of just mention like this event. They don't really go into what this event was that finally made like Mikey leave, because it's not after the death of Raph here. He doesn't necessarily leave right away from that.
Right, he holds on all the way. It's the rest of the team's kind of it's a piece by piece thing here. That's why it's called First to Fall. Raph, like he normally does, kind of just went off on his own and couldn't wait for the team to back him up and talk to him because he knew his idea was stupid.
Yep. And then we get one of the biggest shocks from April here, aside from her missing limbs, is Professor Honeycutt, aka Fugitoid's head, being pulled out. That was something I was like, oh my god, they did it again! Because like the ending of issue 1 of Mikey being alive was just so great for me. And then like seeing this, I was like, oh my god,
well, it's like, how are they living under, how have they been able to survive all this time? How they have this technology that they have and stuff. Yeah, so it's definitely a good MacGuffin there at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. So now let's pop on over to issue 3, Fight or Flight. Again, we got our same creative team behind it. This issue though starts out nicely with a little bit of Oroku Hiroto, which is the grandson of Shredder and the son to Karai. And so we see him like becoming the leader of the Foot Clan in Japan. He invites Splinter out for some nice peace talks, and then makes some martial law happen.
Yep.
And this is all in this flashback, except for the martial law, because that's what's happening in the city right now in New York.
Exactly, it's locked down. Everything. Get back in your house. We got a mutant on.
Yeah, we got a mutant on our hands that we need to take care of.
But again, this story is definitely got connotations of mutants are this other. They're trying to protect humans from mutants when really it's hurting both humans and mutants.
What they're doing.
Yeah, you're caged in on an island compared to, you know what I mean, compared to being on the outside. So it's bad for both, just like usually, but he's splitting everyone up.
Right. Got to try and faction them all off, and divide and conquer that way. It sucks. Fuck you, Roku.
Exactly.
But so Mikey's talking with his brothers now, as one does you talk with your ghost brothers about Casey. Too young, untrained, and we just can't do it. We can't risk it. I'm not Mikey's like, I'm not risking another life. I've already lost all of you. I'm not gonna let somebody, and you guys were trained by our dad and Splinter and stuff. Like, I'm not gonna let somebody who would be trained second-handedly by me put their life kind of out there, and do that. I'm not gonna allow it. Casey then sends, Mikey over to like April and is like, you got to see Fugitoid's head. And it's just like, his mind kind of like explodes there a little bit.
Oh yeah. Not ready for it.
No, that is not what he.
I mean, there's not a lot of hope left, and he's like, "What is going on?" Like, what are we doing here? Like, worth it?
Yeah.
But his wheels are turning when he sees it.
Absolutely, they are. One of my favorite things is this conversation that we get between Mikey, and April, and how they kind of catch up and stuff. The flashback to. So as we started the episode, there's a flashback. Becomes leader of Foot Clan and is invited over for peace talks. This is where we catch up to Donnie and Splinter leaving to those peace talks. And they, kind of clear the air then, like April and Mikey between them. They talk about like the Foot attacking Baxter's men, then the Turtles getting, Honeycutt and April out and safe. Fugitoid refuses to go with Baxter. And then Baxter, of course, is like, if I can't have him, no one can.
Yep.
And literally brings a building down, blows up a building, and it is, it's crazy. It's craziness, is what that is.
He's a psycho. He's a, like you said here, if I can't have him, no one can type deal.
Yeah. It's nuts. But yeah, Baxter levels that entire building. And we get a cut then to Casey and her crew. They're in a subway. Like, not the restaurant, subway train.
It'd be funnier if they were at a restaurant.
Right? It absolutely would be funnier if they were at the restaurant.
Three's where I stop reading.
But chaos is breaking out. The martial law is there. The crew split up to meet back at the lair and take care of things. Casey ends up doing the classic, like helping an old woman, and then she ends up on Bleecker and Sullivan,
right?
Which is the same street that the building blew up on, and it's the same street that the turtle lair used to enter.
Oh yeah.
And so now we get a cut back to Mikey and April catching up. April has lots of physical therapy and mental and physical therapy. She lost her husband, her friends, and
she's had to learn how to rework her limbs.
Absolutely. And she was also pregnant.
Yep. And taking care of a baby through all this has got to be fun.
Yeah, that's got to be, it crazy. Unfathomable. I can't. Yeah. Oh man.
Not only is it the end of the world, you're pregnant.
Yep. Got to carry this baby without your partner or your friends anymore to even just like kind of hang out with.
Must be.
Tough. Mikey, so Mikey, though, after that blast, didn't think anyone could survive. So he went to the only place that he knew people were. he went to go to Japan to warn Donnie and Splinter that this is going to be a trap out there because they just got hit here in New York.
Right.
And so we get a little cut back to the now, and April's like, I think I might know how to beat Hayaroto, and they need it, right?
Oh yeah. It's going to be
breaking, hell is breaking loose, and they need a big win, a big W for themselves to be able to get
Hail Mary, baby.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go back to Roku now, and he has this weird fever dream of a monologue on top of a building that's
he's an evil villain. He needs to give a villain monologue on top of a building. What do you mean?
What do you mean you don't understand? This is villain 101.
Basic. Got to talk about what your plan is, and so
it is very
the audience
classic spin the mustache, twirling the mustache kind of villain here thing.
And Shredder's always been that type of villain.
Yeah, absolutely. So and when you have the grandson, the second generation, real or third generation, really grasping at that crown or whatever, you're gonna run into that kind of stuff all day.
Yep.
And so it's just so funny. But he's talking about being the ruler and the master. I gave them everything. It's almost like he's drunk. And he said, he does all the stuff that most bad guys do.
Yeah. So.
Now, Mikey, April, Casey, and the crew all fight about permission and who can do what and death wishes. And then, as they're all fighting, April decides to show off the new turtle van. The new party wagon, which really isn't a party wagon if we're being honest.
Yeah, this is
we've all seen The Dark Knight here.
Yeah,
this is a party tumbler, baby.
Yeah, this is the Doom
either way,
van.
I'm here for it. I got that NECA turtle van, that cartoon van. I will happily buy the Last Ronin NECA party tumbler.
Exactly.
Just saying. And it's not a drink cup, people. It's a really cool car. It's a really cool view.
Looks like it chases tornadoes.
Bill Paxton totally could have been riding one of those things.
All day.
And then that's basically how the third issue wraps up.
Yep. Yeah, that's it. And that's it. It's a good one for a 3 episode, or we both said
part 3
again. Yeah, in issue 3, it like you said, it kind of gets the story going here. They at least have somewhat of a plan. It doesn't seem like a good one, but they're pushing forward here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Now we are entering the 4th issue, Blood in Snow. And this one was another banger, man. We start out with a great assault on Stockman. And his we're in the now, it's not a flashback or anything. And it's an assault on Stockman's little enclave, little island that he kind of has that's not really a part of the island that everybody else
can do his nerd stuff.
Yeah, because he's Stockman and he does what he wants like that. They're all waiting for April to get there to help them get into the complex and everything. Stockman sends his security. They get into the complex and it's an awesome firefight. It's so good.
Yeah,
we learn a little bit more about Casey Marie though, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, in each issue now we're learning a little bit more of not only the backstory of what happened with the turtles, but also what happened in that time between with Casey and
and April being on by themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And but like Casey Marie is like training alone. Then Mikey comes in. You know, they spar, and then finally, Mikey agrees to train Casey.
Oh yeah, all day. He's ready. He sees that she's got it in her. She's not going to give up anyway, so he might as well. They're doing this. They got a plan now, like we said. And, you know, this is kind of all he's got. He could teach somebody something and could pass on his legacy, if nothing else.
Right. One thing that I do love about April here is that she presses Mikey a little bit, and it's like, I need to know what happened in Japan. Not being like I demand it, but like she absolutely has a right to know of like what happened to them. Like to say that April is not like another member of that like turtle family would be a lie. Absolutely.
Risk everything.
So like then we get that explanation. We get the flashback of Splinter and Donnie going to, you know, they go to their Hamato clan first and, you know, hang out, and their master tells them the story to, you know, like, be careful. We're going to be betrayed, possibly. As of right now, it seems like he's coming to like good terms of like coming in goodwill, but like, you know, we got to be careful. We've been mortal enemies with these people for how long? Millennia, basically.
I mean, we've tried fighting. Tried this. We tried that. You know.
Right. So it's like
gotta do something.
The meeting is set, and of course, those mother effers are betrayed by Hiroto, and Donnie and Splinter die in a flight of arrows that is something out of 300.
Yeah, and I love Donnie's outfit here. It's like,
yeah, his like feudal Japan kind of like not even feudal Japan, but his like Japanese.
Kinda, yeah. It's based on that Japanese style for sure.
Yeah.
It's very cool, like bamboo and stuff.
So good.
But yeah, you can't handle a barrage of arrows.
No.
Get another turtle down.
Yeah, another turtle down and Splinter down now. And so, you know, then they leave, you know, like Mikey went to the Hamato clan, and that's where he gets told this story. So he leaves the compound because as much as he's a member of that clan, like his family, his brothers aren't there. His dad's not there, so he needs to leave and continue on. And so now we get April and Mikey talking a little bit more. And, you know, April's like explaining like, you know, Ronin, last of his kind, I'm the last of my kind. And he's trying to decide or trying to end the family feud, right?
Exactly.
And takes his father's journal, and like he trains to kill Oroku. That's what this whole story is leading up to. It's him killing him and getting, you know, kind of revenge, satisfaction for his brothers and Splinter. And April, you know, is very happy about Mikey training Casey here. And we get a little bit of a twist here that I was not expecting at first, or not even like at all.
Right.
And because, you know, Mikey kind of is like, well, this has all kind of been by design, right, April? And April's like, what do you mean, Mikey? And he's like, you injected Casey with some mutagen. And that's like a huge accusation, right? Because that was always something that they tried to keep out of everyone else in the comics and all of the shows and stuff. They always tried to make sure that mutagen didn't mutate other people and that people weren't experimented on and stuff like that. And so like that's a big thing for April to like for Mikey to accuse April of that, as I just said 30 seconds ago. They're fake,
right.
You know,
using it as a weapon is different than it happening. accidentally
And
into some turtles.
well, then we find out this other thing is that the mutagen actually, April and Casey were more or less tainted, exposed to that mutagen just by, like hanging out with the turtles, probably mending wounds and stuff of the turtles, and turtles helping them and whatnot, like throughout their life and throughout their friendship and stuff. And that is how it got passed down to Casey, Casey Marie. And they like April and Mikey are fine. Then Mikey feels still kind of a little guilty.
He didn't. Yeah, he did. It wasn't. He felt guilty for Casey, the father.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't have to feel so guilty that the daughter has mutant properties to her because things happen naturally.
Right. So then we get the storming of Stockman's compound. They're inside. This is a great bit. Back and forth between like making the plans and executing it. Like you see that in all the classic movies of like where they're talking about it in like the war room, and then you actually see some of it executing as they're talking about it, and they're cutting back and forth between showing you and talking about it and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I just love that.
Yeah.
I just love that. I love the way that these panels were put together for this and like all of that. It was just so fun. It just felt, and like, again, as we said, it kind of felt like we really like the action and stuff of this. I'm really excited to see if they ever make a movie, animation or live action or whatever of this story, and see how they kind of pace some of that, or if they do exactly like what they did here, like almost panel for panel for that. I'm so excited. But Baxter Stockman, always underestimating the situation here.
Always. I mean, everyone's in that mode right now, though. I think everyone's underestimating or overestimating everything, and everyone's in chaotic thought process. Raph went off on his own, but yeah, Baxter's is kind of just losing it.
Yeah, he's just losing it. He is underestimating the situation. And then we finally get April and the party tumbler come roaring through, and Fugitoid is plugged in, starts helping. Stockman wants, Fugitoid, obviously. Fugitoid takes out Baxter, which is great.
Yeah, right.
It's so awesome. And then everything in New York shuts down. And the Rock Bottomers, as they refer to themselves, start striking out, fighting back. The resistance is here. The assault on the Death Star is happening.
Exactly. There's the rebels they're joined up with the cause.
Which takes us to our fifth and final issue here, The Last Ronin.
Sir.
Again, I love this issue. Same.
Yeah, this is a lament. This is a great. We're getting to the end. We're at the end of the story now. We're not getting to it. We're at the end of the story. So, what's going to happen with the turtles from here on out?
Right. So this first issue, or this fifth issue, talk about a little bit about what you thought at the beginning of it here, Collin.
It's really fun, exciting, but also it's a sad beginning here because he's fighting with his brothers, and it's sad to see Mikey kind of be a loner and kind of just not push against the team, and it's shows how chaotic everything was here at the end.
Yeah. It's pure chaos. The Casey and the rebels are taking survey on the of the top side. Hiroto is like grabbing all of his people to start getting ready to to attack to gather his troops to start attacking.
Yeah, you think Mikey lost his mind a little bit? You know,
Absolutely.
because I definitely don't think the ghosts are. I don't know. It's weird. It's just his fighting style is just like he picks every time he fights with the brother. It's like the perfect brother answers.
I mean, I don't know. I think I don't know if he like truly lost his mind or if he's just like or if he just knows his brothers so well that he knows that this one would chime in at this thing because they have said this thing before.
Yeah.
Which is because that's what a lot of that like is too. Is that
anyone does that.
Is that it's just like
because we see the ghosts as an audience, so it's just a wonder. Like, did he just completely lost it, or
I mean,
is just us? Is this just us seeing his conscious speaking to himself, and his brother's giving him the push that he needs every time?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what they're
sad.
there
for. It's kind of like I said, it's a lament. It's sad seeing Mikey on his own.
Yeah, absolutely. They
didn't leave. Everything wasn't like good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, everything wasn't good because he leaves to go on his own now. Casey and April start fighting about Michelangelo. April, obviously never telling Casey about the mutagen exposure. That gets brought up. Mikey is breaking into the tower, setting off all of the bombs and all of the alarms, and is just fighting and
kamikaze. He's doing what Raph did.
Yeah,
great. Like,
he really is.
He's doing what he did at the beginning with new power, but it's he's tanking it. He's causing a distraction, basically.
Right.
So hopefully, while everyone else can get their stuff together, he goes in head first.
Yeah. And even Hiroto kills his mother by destroying her tube here, and like destroys the whole building. Right. And destroy it, and like the whole building is like starting to catch fire now, and due to the different like bombs and stuff being set off, they get blown out of the tower. We get cut.
Yeah, the part with the mom was interesting though. Like it was just like he was colder even than I thought. You know what I mean with that?
Yeah, that was like super shocking. Because you kind of thought that he was almost like a mama's boy, for lack of a better term, or something.
Right. Like at least there's something about him that's.
Yeah, that you felt like that there was more of a closeness or a loving relationship there, and it's just not. It's just not there at all. You find out in that moment, and so yeah, that was like a pretty shocking reveal. And then we cut back to the sewers because of all the bombings and stuff. Flooding is starting to happen in the sewers, so everyone's trying to make it topside and trying to get everybody out of there so nobody's drowning. Like,
it's a good idea to not put walls around a city like that to make it a bowl.
Right? That would be a. You would think people would think that was a good idea, but that's just no, that's just not how they think here. And now we kind of cut.
No, it's Terminator vibes. It's definitely right? Like especially with the Sinjas and. Yeah.
That just reminded me of Community.
Always, everything.
But now these next few like pages, panels we get is really Mikey and Hiroto fighting, and then cutting through the sewers and them fighting, and like April is trying to weld underwater to get the pumps fixed to get the water out of the sewers. Mike and Hiroto are just like stabbing each other. Nobody is like giving up. There's only one. There's only one end, and you know, to be fair, Hiroto is given a chance to like kind of stop it, but he doesn't, and he tries to attack Mike, and he gets his guts spilled out onto the ground.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this ain't your old Ninja Turtle movie.
No, this ain't.
This is your old Ninja. This is your old Ninja Turtle.
This is your old Ninja Turtles. This ain't no 90s movie.
Yeah.
This ain't no 80s cartoon. This ain't any of them cartoons. It's pretty rough and like it's crazy and it's awesome. Mikey then goes for the double tap and breaks the bow staff over Hiroto's face and head and and then he heads into the sewers to go help like Casey, Marie, and and April and the rest of them.
Hopefully they all got they got what they needed to get done while he was doing what he needed to do, which is go insane,
right?
Ballistic. Yeah, he tanked it really well.
Yeah, and then Hiroto, of course, follows Mikey down into the sewers, and they continue their fight. So now they're fighting. April finally gets the pump going, and the water takes out Mike and Hiroto out to sea. Right? And April and Casey Marie make their way to the edge as Mike and Hiroto are still fighting. This is like the longest fight in the world.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it all led up to this.
Yeah, right. It all leads up to this. Hiroto gets electrified, gets electrocuted. There's an explosion, and Mike comes up to Hiroto's face, and Hiroto's dead. Mikey crawls back to land, and Casey and April come up there. Mikey is holding on to like Splinter's journal, and you know Casey and April then are in the sewer layer still, and Casey Marie is still training, and April is still fixing stuff, and we get a nice little tease of 4 baby turtles in an incubator.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like Casey's going to take up the mantle here.
Right. And continue on.
Yeah, we're going to get some training still, so.
It's great.
Yeah, so sadly, Mikey gave his life for it all.
He does. As he's holding on to the journal, he hands it to Casey Marie, and, you know, he passes then. And so everything will be leading up to them now.
But yeah, there is 4 new little turtles in, like he said, an incubator, and I guess that's what's next, you know.
Right, and that's more or less what's next, and what we will be doing next as well. You know, the Last Ronin was really great. Those 5 issues were awesome. They reprinted a bunch of them, and then they also gave you the Last Ronin archive. Which was a nice little single issue thing that just gave you some cool like early character designs, concepts, some subtle changes, and the last 5 pages of that Last Ronin archive show the TMNT Last Ronin script pages, shows some script pages from there and how all of that works. Our next thing will be the Lost Years and the Lost Day special, those 6 issues.
Which the Lost Years are the time where in between what like I said, it kind of gets into what happened in between, and then what were these new turtles.
And then what we're gonna get ready for Last Ronin number 2, Re-Evolution, which the 4 of the 5 issues of that are out currently in comic book stores or wherever. The 5th issue, I think, is due out in either April 2025 or May of 2025. So I believe
coming up soon here.
Yeah, I think you can still add the 5th issue to your pull list if you haven't already. Otherwise, wait probably by the time this around fall, October, November, December. Bet you that's when you'll see a collected edition of Re-Evolution, the same way that they did with the first Last Ronin. But yeah, Colin, you got anything else you want to add to Last Ronin?
No, I'm just glad to have glad to see the turtles grow up with us. You know.
Absolutely, it's one thing that I love. It's one thing that I love. That my daughter likes. She likes that I like the new Mutant Mayhem movie too. That was a lot of fun. But my daughter really liked that movie too. So like the fact that I'm able to kind of keep
Yeah, we could have both, right?
Yeah.
That's what I kind of like about turtle fans. Like we understand that
I want to
there's
give it to the
darker
next
side.
generation, and it's got to start somewhere. So start with the thing that when I was 5 years old,
At the end of the
I was
day,
watching certain things. I'm
right,
going to give her that. It's what's out now for kids her age. It's perfect.
and they have sick toys.
Absolutely. That animation is really good too. Anyhow, I think that is all that we've got today.
Right.
I am Jimmy with the Triple C Collective. This is
Off the Spinner Rack, and I'm Collin. Nice to have a little session with you.
Absolutely.
Let's get to the lost years next.
Absolutely. We hope you all stay safe. Please like and subscribe to our video and to our channel.
Nice.